Six Nations 2023, folks. Italy and France, 24 points to 29. The French come away winners, but far from convincing on the scoreboard. We're going to go through some key events and stats. You guys can let us know your thoughts. I should say I overslept for this one. I was supposed to get up at 4. You know that feeling when you've been lying in bed and you feel like, oh, my alarm should have gone off by now, right? That was me. Sun was starting to peek through the curtains and I knew I'd made a big mistake. My alarm was set for the weekend, but it's a Monday here in New Zealand, so I missed this game live. But fortunately, didn't know the result at all. I didn't get on any social media. I didn't check any scores. So I went into this one completely oblivious, and I'm thankful because if you know the result of a game like this, it's not quite as edge of your seat stuff as it might have been. So, yeah. I think closer than most people expected. And that being said, it did start pretty ominously for the Italians. It looked like it was going to go according to the script, which is this French side, Grand Slam, reigning champions, and on a huge winning run. Are just going to come into Rome and blow the Italian guys away. They had a really early chance from some turnover ball. Ramos's pass to Pino just didn't stick. He probably should have caught that one. Pino drops it. Kind of uncharacteristic, and I would say uncharacteristic from a lot of the moments for the French today is probably fair, but that was the first one. It didn't really matter because they got a bit of a gift one a few minutes later when Flamand charged down a Varney box kick with nobody standing guard either side of the ruck, so way too easy, and considering the scoreline, really brutal for the Italians. They will not be happy with several of the tries, I reckon. The Italians, as I said, they gifted that one. So 7 points to 0. The French are in front. The Italian defense did hold through more French phases from the restart. Eventually, they won a penalty at line-out time. Capuozzo dropped a decent chance as well. It was, a little bit of rust, I guess, from both sides early. But it was still mostly France, despite that penalty conceded. Antonio got pinged at the breakdown for a not clear enough release, which seemed a little bit tough. He did seem to... I thought maybe there was a touch of daylight there, but not one you kind of want to argue about. It's, in the scheme of things, not the biggest of all penalties, but Italy did get 3 points from it, which, given that scoreline, could have been decisive. But, 7 points to 3, Italy on the board. And ambitious, I guess you would say, from the Italians, man. Like a little bit too ambitious sometimes. When I talk about kind of soft points conceded. So from the restart, the Italians tried to kind of run it out of their own 22. The pass went loose. Bruno was able to recover. And then he ran it at the French upcoming defenders and just tried to hoof it through, but was tackled in the process of kicking. So the ball kind of just spilled. And it looked like Olivon had gone over after Aldred had one carry from it. So from that turnover ball, but Olivon just dropped it over the line. So a bit of an escape, but they're still down the wrong end of the field. The next scrum, Antonio makes up for that penalty he conceded the breakdown by winning one at the scrum. The French go for touch. The Italian maul defense holds, but then there's a cross kick, which is aimed for Pino, but Pino can't quite take it in competition with Capuozzo. And Ramos is there to pounce on the ball, which is just sitting over the try line. So he grounds it, and it's 12 points to 3. They did have the TMO check the grounding and then also the cross kick, but it had come backwards off Capuozzo. And there was, I guess, a fair contest in the air between the two guys trying to take it. So, yeah, kind of all from the Italians not exiting initially. They end up conceding a try. I think it can be taken back all the way to that moment. So... 12 points to 3. Some nice Italian phases on 21 minutes. Some good hands from like Lamaro, Allan, Ruzza. Eventually, the Italians got another chance at a penalty and they took it. So 6 points to 12. So, they're still scoring penalties to the French tries, but they're still keeping at least within touching distance. But then, man, the Italians, from the restart again, they get charged down. This one goes dead. But, stop it, Italy. What are you doing? It's real basic stuff. So they're down the wrong end of the field. And it's not that long later that Dumortier gets the next try. On debut as well. It's Aldrich winning a turnover. So the Italians are still down their own half. from that restart. Intermuck with a cross kick, and it's 19-6. So I do feel like, man, the Italians just made some kind of poor decisions with their exits in this game. But anyway, 19-6. That being said, I wrote a note like real early, the French are giving away too many penalties, and that continued the whole game. The whole game, the French just kept giving away so many penalties. On 30 minutes, Italy went for touch. The crowd was starting to get behind them because at that point, you're 19-6 down. You can't keep scoring a penalty every time the opposition scores a try. So they go for touch. They maul it. The maul itself gets stopped, but then I guess Capuozzo calls it to go blindside. And he's able to beat Aldrit, who does get across, but just can't stop him from the corner. So, man. Great play, misconversion, but 11 points to 19. So, Italy making up for a kind of soft try conceded with a really well-worked try of their own. So, far from game over, right? The Italians are sticking in the game. And they went 15 phases before halftime as well, all on the back of another French penalty conceded. I think the French conceded 9 penalties in that first half. They were on a yellow card warning, but the Italians ended up just getting a penalty out of it. So they couldn't get another try, but man, that goes into the sheds at 19-14. Not much between it, despite the fact that the French, have scored 3 tries to 1. It's still very much in the balance. Penalty count's 9-2. Italy have had more possession, 53%, but largely on the back of all those penalties conceded by the French. And the French have still managed to have more territory, 56%. Second half, France are camped down the Italian end. And after a couple of clearances, because, the Italians would have to field these little French dinking kicks through and they would clear it, but then be back on defence. The Italians conceded a penalty, so France, in an interesting kind of switch of tactic, and I guess sensing how close the game was, decided to opt for a 3, which seems sensible. So 14 points to 22. The French lead slightly extended, but then more penalties conceded. A high tackle from, I think it was Allan again. He conceded a few penalties in this game on Bruno, and a great touch finder from Tommaso Allan. Some of his touch finders in this game were pretty weak. From when he's got a lot of space to work with, instead of kicking it 5 metres out, he would kick it, 7, 10 metres out. But this one, when he's got a really tight kick to make, quite far away, he nails it absolutely on the 5 metre line. So sets them up with a really good chance. And they maul it. And Olivon, again, gives away another penalty, collapsing the maul. This time he gets carded for it, and it's a penalty try. So suddenly, man, it's a 1-point game. Who knew this was coming? Kieran Crowley is just the ultimate poker player. Looks totally nonplussed. He's just sitting there like a zombie. Yeah, no emotion on that guy's face whatsoever. France did seem angry, though. They seemed angry at that penalty conceded because from the restart, Peno absolutely smashed whoever it was that caught the ball from the restart. Tommaso Allan had to make a kind of tough clearance kick. He didn't get a lot of meters on it, so the French had a good line-out opportunity in Italian territory, but uncharacteristic from France, apart from the high penalty count, was they just lost that resulting line-out, which they could have kind of wrestled the momentum back from the Italians from. Peno did go really close from kind of a kick return play. He grubbed it through, but in a game where he would normally maybe have already had a try earlier if he'd caught that Ramos pass, and he could have caught this grubber through, he ends up knocking it on. So a little bit uncharacteristic, I think, from the French. 56 minutes, the Italians concede a penalty on their own line-out ball, which was a bit of an unfortunate one because they'd lost the line-out. The backs came up offside. France up for a long 3. But maybe, again, a little bit uncharacteristically, Ramos, who's already missed one conversion, he misses that kick. Admittedly, it was during the yellow card, so they ate up a bit of time either way. It was kind of win-win. You either get points from it or you eat a bit of clock down and get some field position. So they ended up getting the latter. But 59 minutes, the Italians, they dropped the ball on attack in the French half when it's 15-14. I do feel like that's a bit of a mischance for them if they are going to win the game. But they did get a penalty a couple of minutes later to take the lead on 61 minutes, 24-22. They would have rather the try. So they win the yellow card, but only 3-0. I feel like they could have done maybe a little bit better in punishing the French yellow, but still, they did win the card period, and then they did take the lead, which psychologically is a big blow when there's only 20 minutes left. The French subs come on, they certainly up the tempo, and I think maybe that's part of the difference in this game, because there was one period not long after all the French subs had come on that they just went through a bunch of phases. They got advantage and sent Jalibert over. Like Fiku had a big carry, a couple of big carries. He was kind of ever present for this one. Talfa Fanua with a great offload, so he's one of the subs. Jalibert, one of the subs, is the man who scores it. So that puts the French back in front, 29-24, and that's the final score. There's nothing else doing in terms of getting on the board, but the French still have some hanging on to do, man. Gelange, he had to win a turnover on 70 minutes to stop the resurgent Italian attack after another Olivon penalty conceded. 78 minutes, another Italian attack. France conceded a penalty at the Mall. One last chance for the Italians. You think they go through some phases, but another penalty conceded by the French at the breakdown. Just their interpretation of the breakdown seemed to be different from the refs, Matt Cully. And then the Italians get a line out 6 meters out from the French line. All to play for, but it's a bit of a letdown because essentially the Mall goes down and they can't get the ball out quick enough, so it's a turnover. And with the clock being in the red, it's game over. So, yeah, the Italians got bloody close. Losing bonus point close. Attacking chance right on full time close, but still couldn't get it done. I would say it's going to be pretty rare for the Italians to get a chance like that, given the penalty count was 18-7. And as I mentioned, the French, I think, uncharacteristically missed a few chances they might ordinarily have taken. I think they blow at least a couple of tries, and Ramos doesn't kick as well as he normally would have. But that being said, I don't want to take anything away from the Italians because, man, they themselves blew a couple of chances. That Maul at the end, that chance they had with the extra man when they dropped it during the yellow card period, like they quite easily could have got a different result. And I mean, if not for that Varney gift of a kick or, the failure to exit at the start of the game, a few soft tries at the start, man, the Italians could have had a really famous win on their hands, but not to be. Run meters finished 398 to 426, so the French edge it. They've got 5 clean breaks to the Italians 3, 35 defenders beaten to the Italians 13. So believe it or not, I mean, the French defense at 93% still holds up really well. 168 tackles to 122 by the Italians, and the Italians only tackle at 78%, which is really, really, really low. But with all those penalties conceded, they just kept getting chances, Possession finish is 57-43 to the Italians, but the territory finish is 58-42 to the French. So, yeah, it's a tough one for the Italians, on another day, man. Capuozzo, who for some reason, there's like 3 commentators now. My 2 commentators, my game today, Royal Nugent, whoever else it was, keep calling him Capuozzo. Where the hell did Capuozzo come from? There was one commentator last year who started calling him Capuozzo, and I was like, that guy's just a bit special. I mean, I know names are hard, and there's a lot of different nationalities and pronunciation rules to remember, but where'd Capuozzo come from? Both my commentators were calling him Capuozzo today. The dude's breakthrough player of the year, for goodness sake. Get his name right. Look at the ceremony from last year when he got his award. They didn't call him Capuozzo. Isn't it just Capuozzo? You're missing a whole syllable. Anyway, Capuozzo, 96 meters and 2 defenders beaten, gets his try really well. Niccolo Cannone, 16 out of 17 tackles and wins 2 turnovers. Proper shift. For the French, Allan, 20 out of 23 tackles, wins a turnover in a key moment. Fiku, 6 defenders beaten. Looked pretty sharp. But, the French, they are away to Ireland next. And they'll be thinking, man, like, this is the game that we needed to get this out of the way. Like, the bad penalty count, the kind of missed chances. If there's a game you're going to do it, maybe that's the ones that they still walk away with a bonus point win. So in the scheme of things, everything is still looking rosy, even if that scoreline is a bit scary. The Italians are away to play England, so they probably won't get a penalty count like that again, where it's, they concede fewer than half of the penalties that their opposition did, but there's still certainly plenty to like about that, barring some soft early tries. That might be a little bit scary for the English, but they'll still be big-time underdogs, the Italians, going into that one. You guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.